Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's adventure on Chatting with the Lightkeeper. And as always, I am the host of this. My name is Edward, if you didn't already know that. I hope everyone out there had a wonderful and enjoyable St. Patrick's Day. However, you spent your St. Patrick's Day, whether it was swilling green beer or having unique Irish drinks, or just wearing some green, or perhaps eating something which I don't even know if corned beef and cabbage is a traditional Irish dish. Like it's sort of passed off here in the States as something that is common and everybody eats in Ireland. I have no idea. I've never been to Ireland. Well, hopefully that will change someday. I would like to explore it. My ancestors did live there, however, they weren't Irish. They were those evil English who went over to do yes, in a way, conquering work for the king or queen of England at the time. So while I had relatives that were in Ireland, they were not Irish and never identified as Irish. And were probably not the fun, nice folks that you would want to meet. Um, I also, I didn't wear anything green on St. Patrick's Day. So yeah, I guess if anybody sees me out and about, feel free to pinch me. I'm not sure if the pinching for not wearing green, if that expires, when St. Patrick's Day ends, or if that is something that sort of, if you know the person didn't wear something green on St. Patrick's Day, if the pinch can come in June, July, August, or something crazy like that. I've never really thought about it till now. So yeah, there we go. So anyway, um, getting back towards the actual subject at hand here. Today we're going to chat a little bit about the BDSM community, and I know that that sounds, if you're new, probably sounds kind of overwhelming. It's sort of put out there like there's this big community. It's almost sort of like the cloud storage. It's this thing community that sort of floats above everything in the BDSM world. And people will say, well, connect with the community, get involved in the community. Well, that seems kind of daunting, I would imagine, if you are newer to the lifestyle, or even if you've had some experience. What does the community really mean? And for me, community has never been like this, like all powerful thing in the sky designed to protect all the kinky people everywhere from bad people, or where they have elections and elect leaders and have all this stuff. It's really much more personal than something like that. It's in a way, it's like a Build-A-Bear workshop. And if you're unfamiliar with Build-A-Bear, it's just a place where you go in and you craft your own little stuffed animal, or stuffed animal for someone else while you're there. You can pick everything from the size, the shape, whether it's an animal or bear or what have you, outfits, clothes, the whole nine yards, and you essentially make your own stuffed animal. And the community is very much like that. It's a place where you build your own relationships, and it's up to you how you want to build them, what you want them for, how close do you want them to be? Is it just a place you go for advice? Is it a place where you actually make real world friends? People to go out and have coffee and tea or whatever your beverage of choice is and good times, or if it's just a place where you go to, occasionally for knowledge or advice. So that's sort of what's beautiful about the community is we all make it our own. It's not this giant monolithic thing where there's only certain ways to engage it, and to be successful in the lifestyle, you need to be a part of it, and you need to do it certain ways. There are people that will will tell you that you have to do X, Y, and Z with the community if you're serious about the lifestyle. But the thing is, what works for them doesn't have to work for you. That's what's beautiful about the whole world of BDSM is it's so individualistic. You tailor it to yourself. So first, let's start and talk about kind of why you would want to start building your own little bear community. Well, not necessarily if you're familiar with what a bear is in terms of the lifestyle or kink related, that might not be your jam. But if you want to build your own, kink friendly, BDSM friendly supportive community and why it's important to do that. First of all, if you're newer, even if you're not newer, it can happen at various stages in your journey. Even people who are perhaps veterans have experienced this. It's something that I've experienced at various points in time, and that's feeling very kind of alone. Like, am I the only person who feels like this, or am I the only person that has these thoughts or ideas or fantasies? It can feel kind of lonely. Um, and the community is a place where you don't have to walk alone. While I'm not a um, Liverpool football fan, that is sort of their theme song, if you will. You'll never walk alone, and it really applies here in the community. You don't have to walk your BDSM journey alone. There's the supportive community out there, but it's up to you to create it, and it's up to you to build the connections. It's one of those things where the community is not going to find you. You're going to have to go engage with it. But it does help and does provide a space to go when we are having kind of that loneliness feeling in our journey. Um, when we're maybe not sure how we identify or what we really want, or all those feelings of kind of insecurity, if you will, about the whole thing. And the wonderful thing about the community is there's a whole bunch of people out there that are feeling the same thing that you are at the same time, and you can find out that you're not alone on this journey, which is really a wonderful thing. Another thing that happens is not only do we kind of feel lonely, since the whole world of BDSM does not go sometimes well with what the vanilla world says we should be, we can feel kind of, well, we can simply feel some shame for liking what we like, or feel that we are stigmatized for feeling how we feel, for having our unconventional desires. And the community is a place where when we connect with others and sort of build our bear of a community, we are able to realize that even though it is perhaps unconventional compared to some people in the world, there are, once again, there's a lot of other people who share our same wants, desires, and all of that yummy goodness. So we are able to find a place where we can talk about how we feel. We don't have to feel shameful. We don't have to feel that we are living with some sort of weird stigma, or being um, having other people's misconceptions put upon us, and we can find supportive people who are just like us. Um, the other thing is when we do engage with the community, it does tend to increase self-confidence. We don't feel alone, so we kind of grow our confidence. And when we grow our confidence, we also can see a pickup in how we view ourselves. Our self-esteem will rise, and it's also easier for us to travel what can be a challenging road. It was my most challenging road was to accept that I indeed needed to have BDSM as a part of my life. That was the biggest struggle I had to climb in my journey of exploring lifestyle. And through the community, you're able to find other people who have walk that path, and they might have ideas on how to help you see things differently, or perhaps provide ideas on how to approach where you are on your journey. It doesn't mean that you have to do what other people say, not at all, but it can be a place for ideas to exchange freely. And even if we don't implement them, we can definitely learn from other people's experiences. So there's all of that good stuff that is out there. Um, it really kind of, in essence, it's a place where we can belong. It's a place where we don't have to hide anything. We can just be ourselves. And in that area where we are just being ourselves, we're able to make connections. We're able to build friendships. We're able to potentially seek out and find mentors to help us along the way. We're able to connect with others to even if it's acquaintances that we can go to have questions answered or to share ideas or thoughts. So it's all a very wonderful and supportive place, and it is something that at times I think all of us need a little extra support because the lifestyle, whether you're just exploring the kink side or you're running down the rabbit hole, it's a wonderful supportive network. And as I said before, there isn't a right or wrong way for you to engage with the community. It's whatever works for you. You're able to sort of build your bear of a community, however it works, and whatever works best for you. Just a few thoughts on things to look for as you start to explore and build connections. Don't necessarily look for. It's very easy for um, submissives to connect with dominants and dominants to connect with submissives because there's sort of some, in a way, a magnetic connection. They're drawn to each other, if you will, especially if you're single. Um, there can be that magnetic attraction that happens. It is also important as you build your community to definitely seek out and make connections with people who are on the same side of the slash as you are, because you'll share some commonality in experiences. Um, Perhaps something that is new to you will be perhaps old hat to someone that you run into and that you've built a little bit of a relationship or friendship with in the community, or even if you just, for example, in a discussion group, and you pose a question, somebody from that side of the slash will be able to share their wisdom. And plus, when you are building your community and you have people on the same side of the slash, you don't have, I'm not saying, I guess it can't happen, it certainly could, but you are less likely to have, the magnets attracting. You're in a space where you can sort of talk freely, but not have to necessarily worry about um, the possibility of a love connection coming your way through it. So I think it's very important to have um, friends, acquaintances on the same side of the slash that you are. So it's important to seek that out. And the other thing is we live in a world these days where we like to hear news that fits our views. If you're a conservative, there's certain news outlets that you go to find out in the world what's happening in the world, and they give you what you want to hear based on your view of the world. And same if you're on the liberal side, there are news outlets out there that cater to those people that have those views, and will share those views in a way that's agreeable to the people that are on their side of the political divide, I guess you could say. Um, and one of the things I find interesting about that whole thing is if you watch a half an hour of conservative TV news and then you watch a half hour of the liberal news, one, and pick your network. I'm not gonna definitely gonna say any network names because they're, well, anyway. But you know what I mean there. The often thing is that's very odd. It's too like what they're ranting about on the conservative side and what they're talking about on the liberal side is very different. How it's presented is very different as well. There's a lot of angriness in the conservative land, and there is some anger, of course, over in liberal land. Oftentimes, it's very different, like news stories that are important to these groups, and it's eye-opening. It's almost like there's it's very weird. It's two like often separate things. It's not well, it's almost like two different worlds and what's happening in it. Like one world is leaving out half of the and the other one is just very weird. Anyways, sorry that was kind of convoluted mess. Just sort of thinking out loud there. But when we are building friendships in the lifestyle, it is very important to find people that you may not agree with, or that may say, I see things differently. I personally like it when somebody says, uh, weeks ago on your podcast, you talked about this, and it seemed like perhaps you should consider this instead. Or have you ever thought about doing it this way? Or your view here seemed rather rigid. Is it in fact something that's that rigid? I adore when people share differing opinions. Now, unlike the folks on the TV news world, when we look for people who view things differently, we also want to find people that do things that talk about their different approaches with kindness. That they're not ranting on their channel about their way is the right way. They are just giving you their thoughts, and they're doing it in a positive way. You can challenge yourself to see things differently and have people challenge your views to see things through their eyes or how what works for them, and yet do it in a positive and uplifting manner. So look for people that will, don't build your community with just people who think and do things the same way that you do. It's nice. It's great to have a choir that sort of sings your praises, um, or that you share a thought and everybody chimes in and says, "Yes, I agree, I agree." And that is, it's a wonderful feeling to have other people tell you that they agree with you and that you're right. It's a sort of stokes our ego. Who doesn't like to hear that they're correct and that their opinion is valued and other people share it. But look for people that will challenge you. Because through seeing things through other people's eyes is how we grow. So we definitely want to have people in our little building of a community that don't necessarily the same have the same exact outlook that we do. Now, there's two distinct ways to connect with the cloud of the community, and neither are right or wrong. Um, Actually, there's three ways because there's the online community. Then you can venture out and find in-person events. Um, and that third way would be to blend them together. You can be active online and also do things in person as well. So we have these three different ways. But for the all intents and purposes, I'm just going to kind of keep them separate and just know that you can obviously integrate from online to in person or on in person to online, however it fits for you. I think that most people, when they come to the lifestyle, the online community, online places where you start to find connections if you are open to them, and it's easy to do. You know, it's a few clicks, a few taps, and poof, you know, we're there. Whether it's social media where somebody has, BDSM content like I do over on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, or it's a place like FetLife where it's actually a whole site designed for people in and around the kink and sex positive communities and sort of one huge space where there's all sorts of discussion groups and people connecting and place where you can find what's happening in your in-person community. There's also Reddit where there's all sorts of BDSM subreddits out there. I have never really explored Reddit. Um, I've used it a few times when I've been looking for help with a few typically technology related things. But I've never really explored the lifestyle on Reddit. I know it's there. I know it's thriving. Unfortunately, I don't have any tips on how to connect with it. Because like I said, I'm not a Reddit user. But the beautiful thing about our online community is it's easy to access. It's there 24/7. Can't sleep. It's 4 in the morning. There you go. You can pop in and pop on and see who's posted or share a thought, share an idea, and people will reply and you can start conversations. So it's easy to access, completely anonymous. Um, and if you do access the BDSM community and you haven't, please be very careful with the information you share to protect your anonymity, because as we all know, online, not everybody is what they say they are. So it's very important online to protect your anonymity, especially when we are connecting with people around the globe. So it's very important to just do that. Perhaps don't use your real name. Perhaps take a character from your favorite book's name. For me, it'd be using Wade Watts' name from Ready Player One or Ready Player Two. That would be my real name where it says, put in your real name. Yes, I am Wade Watts. I am not. But if this ever gets scraped and leaked to the world, yeah, go ahead, track down Wade Watts. Good luck to you. And sadly, I'm sure there's somebody out there with the name Wade Watts who might get tracked out. So sorry to the person who got shares the name of a character from a book. But anyways, yeah, just protect your anonymity online, and well as in person too. You need to be careful in person as well. It's not like in person because you can see the person standing there doesn't mean it's a cure-all for that. But there are, in addition to online options, there are in-person events, and um, without actually giving away my exact location in the world, I live, I live, I guess, where suburbia ends. We'll put it that way. Um, I am near a major city, and where suburbia ends is where I am. So while it's kind of rural, it's kind of not. It's one of those areas where it's sort of the influx. There are some local events here in my little community of call it 20,000, 25,000. Not big. Normally seven, eight people getting together for dinner once a month or things like that, or possibly a special event, getting together for a coffee here and there. But because, I guess in this case, thankfully, I'm not far from the big bad city, there's something happening in person every night of the week. There are munches, which a munch, if you don't know, is just it's just a word that means is a group of kinky people getting together. Typically, a munch is at a restaurant or a coffee shop. Occasionally, they're not as often, but they're occasionally at a club or bar. But once again, it's a vanilla setting, so there's going to be no one, no one in leather chaps or walking around with a flogger. It's going to be grandma and grandpa approved. Basically, a munch is just a get together of people who are kinky or just the people who are exploring the lifestyle to build in-person connections. There aren't, it's very, very vanilla. And even the conversation, because they're typically happening in a setting such as a restaurant or a coffee shop, it's vanilla conversation. You're just getting together because you share this interest, and it's not a get together that is openly kink related. Sometimes a munch will um, have a setting where, for example, they can have a private room, or the proprietor of the place is in the lifestyle, so they're able to sort of have a lifestyle friendly section where, in those cases, there might be open discussion about the lifestyle. Perhaps a topic will be discussed, and somebody will lead a conversation about that. Uh, but a munch is typically just a get together of people who are in or curious or just sort of enjoy the lifestyle and a chance to connect with other humans in your neck of the woods who are into some of the same things you are. So you have a chance to make that in-person connection. And of course, the other thing that happens with communities, especially in larger communities, with the big bad city down the road, for me, is they have classes and they have workshops. Once again, there's pretty much a munch every night of the week, and there are classes and workshops going on as well. Certain groups have certain nights that they have their classes. In my community, Wednesday night is where if you're curious about doing rope bondage. There's a well-known group that meets every Wednesday and they have their own private space. So you can work on your skills at getting naughty if you want to. And once again, something like that, uh, it's an educational class. So like any rope work or rope tying or things like that that's going to happen, it happens on the outside of people's clothing. There's no need if you are new to this and you see the pictures online of people in various stages of undress or completely naked with beautiful decorative rope done to them in places like that in workshops and classes. Um, it's very often and most times, unless explicitly said, everything is going to happen. Any demonstrations, teachings, all that sort of stuff happens with clothing on. There's going to be uh, no no nudity, so it's very much I guess that would be PG-13 for the Motion Picture Association of America's ratings. It's going to be a very very tame. And once again, it's educational. It's designed to teach you. It's not designed to arouse you. So those are, the classes and workshops that happen that are available pretty much, all over all the time. It's just a matter of connecting with them. If you do live in a rural place, sometimes it can be a challenge to connect with a community. And the thing is, though, we think nothing of taking a weekend, a long weekend to get away or just have a road trip on a Saturday. Those are all very common things to do. And if you do live in a more rural area, that is something that you can do for, one of your little Saturday road trips. Take a road trip down and take a class on whatever it is that is interesting to you. Sit down, take the class, and oftentimes after class, if you want to, go out to dinner with a group or don't. Hop in your car and head back. Whatever works for you, but you can make it fit your schedule, and even if it is a bit of a challenge, if you live in an area that is less populated, shall we say. Um, and the beautiful thing about the in-person community too, and this is going to probably sound very intimidating if you're new to the lifestyle, and that is they offer something called play parties. And it's kind of what it sounds like. It is an opportunity to play with others in the BDSM lifestyle. These play parties are, once again, I'm going to use typically because most are very well run. They have people called dungeon masters. And no, it doesn't mean they're playing Dungeons and Dragons, but these are people who are trained to oversee what is happening in the play space where you would, engage with another person or people to do a BDSM scene. It's very casual. The play there is everything is very well negotiated. It must be to have it all work. And you also have the dungeon masters overseeing everything. Other people often will be allowed to sit quietly, and I stress that sit quietly and watch other people scene. Um, so it's a safer place, much safer of a place if you want to explore certain aspects of the lifestyle, than just sort of meeting somebody randomly and going to a private venue like a home or a hotel to explore. Play parties because there are going to be people around. So if someone says their safe word or stop, either or, there are people that are immediately there to step in and make sure that that happens. Where if you are playing with somebody that you don't know well in a private setting, um, all you are left with is truly hoping that they will uphold their commitment when it comes to your safety. So the play parties offer that as an opportunity. Also, more than anything, too, they're more of a social event. It's not all people sitting quietly watching other people engage in different types of play. They often have social areas where you can just hang out and talk with other kinky people. And play parties, because they are not happening in a vanilla space. Yes, fetish wear is encouraged, but it doesn't mean you have to show up wearing leather or latex or anything along those lines. You can just go as you are, and that is perfectly fine. So, those are sort of the three genres of things that happen in the in-person community. And also, on top of that, I guess I should add, in-person community, they also just have sort of special events. Um, they might organize a trip to an art museum, or for Halloween, a night at a corn maze with some apple cider or something like that. You have gatherings that take place that, I'm sure that there were gatherings for St. Patrick's Day where you could hang out and have a full of green beer with other kinky people if you so inclined. So it gives you the chance to take in vanilla events with fantastic people. Um, so when it comes to the in-person events, obviously face-to-face interactions, we tend to build trust easier when we're face-to-face, and they are often more structured as far as learning goes, so that if you are looking to acquire or brush up on or teach an old dog new tricks, in-person classes are a fantastic way to do it. And the other thing that is sort of the blending of the online and the in-person. And it's one of the good things, I stress good things to come out of COVID, is that many groups do have online options now. So, for example, maybe you had a long day at work and you thought you'd make it to the event in time, but you can't. Well, now you can hang out and watch the presentation on Zoom or Skype or whatever it is. So you have a lot more of the interactions where it's a combined online and in-person thing going on. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic in that regards. And when it comes to sort of engaging with the community, just a couple of bits of advice. First of all, start slowly. It can be very easy to, as you know, to go down the rabbit hole of a lifestyle. And you go to an event, you have a good time, you want to go back to another one. So, oh, look, there's one on Thursday and today's Tuesday. I'll go on Thursday. And it can be very easy to quickly build a social life around kink events. And if that works for you, that's fantastic. It truly is. But start slowly. Um, don't, well, I mean, you can jump in with both feet. Just go slow, take little bites of the apple. Get to know people. Um, and never feel like you have to, um, make a certain commitment to whether it's online, posting so many times a week, or if it's in person, attending so many, you know, events a week or a month. Do what fits your schedule. Don't let the the I don't know, the big cloud of the community feel like it dictates to you how you have to interact with it. It's up to you. Do what works for you. If you go to an event, have a great time, click immediately and make some amazing friends right out of the bat, and they're doing something on Thursday, go right ahead and hang out and do it again on Thursday if you want. Or if you just want to process it, I'm a processor. Process what you saw, the people you met, and let it all percolate in your mind, and take your time and go process whatever fits with you. But just start with little bites and see how quickly you feel comfortable taking a bigger bite, and go from there. And I am going to say something that used to drive me nuts. It's something my mom always would say to me, and it drove me bonkers until I became an adult and figured out, oh my goodness, I get it now. This makes sense. What her saying was, "You are who your friends are," and I would always kind of blow it off, like, I don't hang out with bad people. What do you mean? You kind of like, well, I'm like, all my friends, and that they're, you know, a wild night for us was, drinking Mountain Dew and watching sporting events, or maybe playing Dungeons and Dragons, which, well, for my mom, that was kind of a evil, shady thing. But, um, I never hung out with bad kids, so to speak, when I was of a formidable youthful age. But as an adult, it's very important that we analyze who our friends are. Are they good people? And oftentimes, sometimes two good people make mistakes. And so it's a good reminder, especially in the lifestyle where there are so many amazing people, so many just fantastic people that they touch your life in a positive and impactful way. However, there are, just like everywhere in life, there are some bad apples out there, and it's just important that we steer clear of bad apples. And what a bad apple for me and a bad apple for you can be two completely different things, and that's fine. Um, it's just be very careful, and know that who is in your community is potentially people that, unfortunately, I'm not saying this is right, but this is how life is. We are judged by who's in our circle. So just be careful and know that, you are who your friends are. And another thing about the community, which is wonderful, sometimes we can struggle with keeping healthy boundaries in our vanilla lives. I struggle to keep a healthy boundary between my work life and personal life. Uh, it's a struggle I have, where work can seep into it, and yeah. But the beautiful thing about it, as we engage with the community, since this is a new engagement for us, it's a whole new opportunity for us to practice our communication, to practice our consent, and to put up the boundaries that we want to have in place for our healthy kink and BDSM friendships and relationships and acquaintances that we're going to meet along the way. It's an opportunity for us to, sort of have our meatloaf moments and say, I'll do this, this, and this, but I'm not gonna do that. It's an opportunity for us to build healthy boundaries and practice our consenting skills and all of that good stuff. And just because we're building new relationships, it's actually doubly important that we do communicate and we do practice consent and we do uphold our boundaries. Even if upholding a boundary might not be popular with the person you uphold it with. Oh well, their problem, not mine. Um, so, anyway, it's, I think, with the lifestyle, it's very important to approach the community rather than this big monolithic thing that sort of floats above and people keep saying, well, engage the community, get involved in the community, find your community. That's all great, but just remember it's all customizable. It's that Build-A-Bear workshop. You get to build your community. You get to pick and choose who your friends are. You get to pick and choose who your acquaintances are. If you want to find mentors, you can pick and choose who you go to for mentoring. All of these things are wonderful and it's all customizable. There isn't a universal way to engage with the community, to be a part of the community. It's all about what works for you and what fits for you. So that's my thoughts on BDSM and the larger than life community. I hope it was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope that I want to encourage you to engage with the community, whether it's online or if it's in person, especially in person. Taking that first step, going to that first munch can be intimidating. But once you do it, I think you will find it to be enlightening and you'll find that it's just people like you that are there. Um, and that is always a welcoming thing. So, do in a way step out of your comfort zone. If you haven't engaged, step out of that comfort zone and engage little bits, take little bites of that apple. And just remember, you're building it, it's yours, and you get to decide, where your boundaries are, what you'll consent to, what you won't consent to, and you uphold them, and it'll be an amazing experience that will help you grow, not only in the lifestyle, but as a person. So that's my final thought. And I want to thank you again for listening, of course. I appreciate you spending some of your time with me here as we went through our community Build-A-Bear. And I want to invite you back next week, same time, same place. And we are going to dive into how the lifestyle and mental health, how it comes together. There's been some fascinating newer research on that, which is really enlightening. And I think if you've been in the lifestyle for a while, you'll find that you agree with it. But if you're new, it'll be potentially eye-opening. So we're going to talk about BDSM and mental health next week. So please, no matter where you're listening, go ahead and click that follow button, so you'll get updated whenever the new episode arrives, which will be next Tuesday, very early in the morning, New York City time. So that may vary what time it is for you where you live on this third rock from the sun. But until then, have a lovely week, and I can't wait to chat with you again next week.